Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Quinn. Thank you for joining me today. I'm a little fancier than normal because I'm filming this on the morning of Valentine's Day, but I wanted to make another video for you guys, this time talking about my favorite subclass in 5th edition. I've really liked it. This is one of the newer ones. It came out, I believe, 2021, pretty early in the year. It's for a class I haven't played in a long time, but I've wanted to play this subclass ever since it was revealed in UA. That being the Bardic College of Spirits. These bards are able to use essentially tarot decks or other methods of storytelling to contact spirits or the dead in order to gain their insight and gain magic from them. I think it's really flavorful. I'm going to go through the features here and then I'll get into why it's my subclass favorite in particular. But thank you for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this. There'll be more where this came from if people like this. So the Spirits Bard gets 3 abilities when you take the subclass at 3rd level. I think that one is quite good, one is the main staple of the class, and the other is quite flavorful, albeit not necessarily the most useful. First of these is Guiding Whispers. This gives the Bard access to the Guidance cantrip, and you can do it 60 feet from you. You don't have to touch the person in order to do it, which is one of the main limitations of the Guidance spell. Personally, I love this feature. This is the one that I think is just solid good. Giving a bard an extra cantrip is really nice because they don't get many of those to begin with. And personally, Guidance is my favorite cantrip in 5th edition. I think it's really flavorful, and I think that a bard being able to even further help on skill checks in addition to their inspiration is really mechanically powerful as well, and it's something I'm a big fan of. The other ability there that is mostly flavor is Spiritual Focus. It allows the bard to essentially use a skull, a crystal ball, a tarot deck, something to cast their spells in a unique way. It eventually upgrades at 6th level to be able to add a d6 to any damage or healing you do from a spell that uses this material component, this focus, but it's not quite as good as it sounds, as it needs to have a spell that doesn't have cost of material components and uses your focus, which is a fairly small list of spells. I think the one I mostly see is Shatter, but it's niche but has some use. It's nice to not just be flavor. I think it's good to be able to have that extra flavor and be able to cast spells through a skull is just really cool. But I think it could maybe use a little boost in that maybe it's just any spell that you would use maybe a certain number of times per day, proficiency bonus or something. On to the main bread and butter of the class. It's the Tales from the Beyond feature. I absolutely love both the mechanical design and the flavor of this feature. I could talk about it for days. But Tales from the Beyond allows you to tap into this supernatural energy that you have and gain a story from beyond the grave, from something, from a spirit that you've called upon. You're able to retain a story in mind for up to a long rest, essentially, or a short rest, either or, and you can bestow it on another person as an action. So you could either keep one kind of in the chamber, ready for later, and be able to bestow it on yourself or somebody else, or you could, as a bonus action in combat, activate it, get a tail, and then be able to bestow it as an action. I think it's a really cool ability that bards get access to in order to kind of buff their bardic inspiration and provide another use to it. And I also think it's wonderful the way it grows organically with the bardic inspiration die. A lot of features would require especially extra paragraphs per level saying, oh, this is how this grows at 6th level, kind of like how the Spiritual Focus does. But the bardic inspiration die increases in size as the bard levels up naturally, and this table is just a D12 table, but you only get access to the first 6 initially. But then when you get 5th level, you get up to the first 8. At 10th level, you get up to the first 10. And then when you get access to your full D12 inspiration die, you get the full table. So now we're going to go through the full effects of the table here. Onto the abilities themselves for Tales from the Beyond, the tales told through you, as they're called on the table. The first option is the Tale of the Clever Animal. For the next 10 minutes, whenever the target makes an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma check, the target can roll an extra die immediately after rolling the d20 and add the extra die's number to the check. The extra die is the same type as your bardic inspiration die. Second option is Tale of the Renowned Duelist. You make a melee spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target takes force damage equals to 2 rolls of your bardic inspiration die plus your charisma modifier. Pretty decent melee attack. Tale 3 is Tale of the Beloved Friends. The target and another creature of its choice it can see within 5 feet of it gain temporary hit points equal to roll of your bardic inspiration die plus your charisma modifier. Temporary hit points are always nice, and being able to provide it to 2 people is even more nice. Tale of the Runaway is next. The target teleports immediately using its reaction up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. Whenever the target teleports, it can choose a number of creatures it can see within 30 feet of it, up to your charisma modifier, minimum of 0, to immediately use the same reaction. So you can essentially, as a reaction, cause all of your party to teleport, which is an ability that is not replicated anywhere else in 5e, and I think it's really cool. Tale of the Avenger is 5th. For 1 minute, any creature that hits a target with a melee attack takes force damage equal to a roll of your Bardic Inspiration die. That one's quite good in the fact that it lingers for no concentration and can potentially just cause perpetual damage to a swarm of enemies that are attacking an ally is quite good. Tale of the Traveler. The target gains temporary hit points equal to a roll of your Bardic Inspiration die plus your Bard level. While it has these temporary hit points, the target's walking speed increases by 10 feet and it gains a +1 bonus to its AC. So just all around big benefit to a single person, which I like a lot, and I think it really adds to the Bard's kind of basic, already existing capabilities, being able to buff people up by giving them inspiration dice and now being able to buff movement speed, hit points, and AC all in one ability. I think it's great. Moving on to the back half of the list, the Tale of the Beguiler is 7th. The target must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw or take psychic damage equal to 2 rolls of your Bardic Inspiration die. The target is incapacitated until the end of its next turn, which is a great way to just take an enemy out for a round. Tale of the Phantom is up 8th. The target becomes invisible until the end of its next turn or until it hits a creature with an attack. If the target hits a creature with an attack during this invisibility, the creature takes necrotic damage equal to a roll of your Bardic Inspiration die and is frightened of the target until the end of the frightened creature's next turn, which is great. Keeping fear and extra damage is just a nice combo. Moving on to the options available for D10. 9th is the Tale of the Brute. Each creature of the target's choice it can see within 30 feet must make a saving throw, strength saving throw, pardon me. On a failed save, the creature takes thunder damage equal to 3 rolls of a Bardic Inspiration die and is knocked prone. A creature that succeeds takes half as much damage and isn't prone. I think it's great to be able to AoE knock people prone. That seems really convenient, especially if you're escaping enemies, and the fact that they still take some damage on success makes it much better than the other damage options on this list so far. Number 10 is Tale of the Dragon. The target spews fire from its mouth in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity save, taking fire damage equal to 4 rolls of Bardic Inspiration die on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Anything that makes you breathe fire is good in my book. On to the final 2 options. 11th is Tale of the Angel. The target regains hit points equal to 2 rolls of Bardic Inspiration die plus your Charisma modifier, and you add 1 condition of the following list affecting the target: blinded, deafened, paralyzed, petrified, or poisoned. Being able to end conditions, especially petrified, that easily for free is huge. I think the previous easiest way was just being able to Greater Restoration somebody, but even that costs 100 gold. This is quite nice to be able to just have that and end a petrified condition on somebody. And finally, number 12, Tale of the Mindbender. You can evoke an incomprehensible fable of an otherworldly being. Target must succeed on an intelligence save or take psychic damage equal to 3 rolls of your Bardic Inspiration die or be stunned until the end of its next turn. Not only is stunned a great condition, intelligence saves are rare and often weak points for a lot of creatures, so I love this all around. It reminds me of that one Dunamancy spell, the one that kind of shoves you through extra-dimensional rifts, and you can be stunned by what you see there. But overall, I really like the Tales from Beyond options. I think that all around, they're just really cool, really flavorful, and as you'll see in a minute, you get abilities buffing them up as you go, as you get better at this class, and I think it's just great to have further options for that. Spirit Session, the 6th ability, is quite flavorful, and I like it a lot. You essentially are able to create this ritual that you can perform with the number of creatures up to your proficiency bonus, if you're willing, and you get a spell from the Divination or Necromancy School of Magic equal to the number of creatures that have performed this ritual in level. So, for instance, at 5th level, you're able to perform with 3 creatures, you're able to get a 3rd level spell. I think this scales really well, and I think that it allows you to get access to a lot of really great spells. Personally, my thing was, before this subclass, my only Bard subclass I'd ever really considered to be just like good or really meta in any way is the College of Lore for those additional magical secrets. This kind of provides a temporary stopgap replacement for that I like a lot. The fact that you're able to switch it out as well is quite useful and allows you to be a lot more adaptable than those lore bards would. Additionally, it doesn't count against spells you know, so it does not hinder your bardic casting in any way. And I just really like the idea of sitting down and performing a ritual with these tarot cards with your party in order to better bolster your magic. And then finally, the last ability here is Mystical Connection at 14th level. It's pretty simple. You just get to roll 2 Bardic Inspiration dies instead of 1 die, not dies. I know what plurals are. I'm good on that. You get to roll 2 Bardic Inspiration die instead of 1 when you're trying to determine which Spirit Session you get, which Tale from the Beyond you're able to access. And if those 2 dice roll the same thing, you can just get to pick, which is great. You can just immediately get access to any of the much better options. It allows people to have a lot more say in what they're bestowing here, and it allows more access to the higher level and more powerful elements present on that table, which I really like a lot. I think that it's kind of like the best of wild magic sorcerer in that you have some degree of unpredictability, but you can, as you get more powerful, control it to a degree and allow it to benefit you and your allies even more than it may otherwise. So why do I love this class so much? The main thing I think about bards is that they're storytellers. That's something that's always been very important to me in the idea of a bard. And I think that this is the class that emphasizes that the most. These bards are storytellers of the long past stories of old. And as somebody who's going to be a history teacher, I love that. That's right up my alley. And furthermore, I think that the flavor it gets is what kind of the Whispers bard was going for, but didn't quite get there. And it's kind of like more gothic, spooky, generally. If it's coming from Ravenloft, it's gonna be like that. Makes sense. But anyway, I think that it just does that a lot better than Whispers, as well as having that access to extra spells and being able to not just, do extra damage and take identities and that be all that Whispers really gets, at least for most of the game. I also like the random elements. Any class that has random elements like this, I am immediately a sucker for. I've been meaning to revise the Wild Magic Sorcerer into my own sort of more buffed thing sometime lately, because I do think that those PHB sorcerer subclasses are quite lacking, at least in terms of not having original spell lists in addition to their class features. And furthermore, the new Barbarian that has wild magic options from Tasha's, I love that as well. It's my favorite Barbarian. So this really adds to that random element that I really love. Maybe I just like gambling, but that could just be me. I just think the subclass is really fun, and I really haven't seen anybody talking about it since it came out. My next PC, 100%, will be this. I don't get to PC that much, so I haven't quite gotten to play this in a game as a player yet, but I really, really look forward to being able to do so someday. But yeah, that was the video. What do you think? What do you think of the Spirits Bard? What is your opinion on it? Have you played it? Would you like to? What kind of videos do you want to see from me in the future? This is kind of a new thing, kind of an expansion on my older best classes and races video. But yeah, no, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day, week, whatever, and see ya.